Hey, welcome to Wins and Lessons. We win some, we learn some. This is conversations about the fears, failures, and fun of being a dad.
Yeah, and today we're talking to Joe Mykrans. Joe is a good friend of both of ours.
Yep.
He is a father of two, a boy and a girl. He's a coach and works at a local high school here.
Yeah, good guy. Joe's maybe a slight difference in what we've done in the episodes previously, where he's in the middle of parenting. He's got some kids in middle school and high school, and so we get to talk with him and chat with him about how to be a dad in that age and stage of life. We talk about the value of presence and how that looks different, maybe from a son to a daughter. We hope you enjoy.
Maybe we just jump into this. Like, I guess first of all, tell us a little bit about your relationship with your dad growing up.
My dad, instilled a lot of, I think, a lot of values and good qualities in myself and my brothers. And I think one of those was like how to work hard and to like provide for your family. My parents owned their own business and didn't necessarily like thrive all the time, but we survived, and they were very present and available. So, and I think one of the things that my dad was not perfect by any means, but I think one of the things that, I don't know, you say things enough and it kind of sticks with you is like, he wants to do better than his dad did.
Right.
And I think he did. And he always used to tell me, and hopefully you can do better. Like every generation, we want to improve.
Right.
We would like to get better. And so that was kind of something that I think it stuck with me a little bit as far as moving forward. Like, how can I do better?
Yeah. That's kind of even part of this journey with Wins and Lessons, I think, is like, we want to be better out of love and respect for our dad, just like our dads probably want us to be better than they were. But maybe we can kind of fast track this a little bit if we gather wisdom and stuff from others.
Well, It sounds like, and one of the things that we think is we talk about this a lot, is that we want to let our kids know that, we're not infallible as a dad, and we're still trying to figure it out too. And so we are trying to be at least quick to apologize or ask for forgiveness or let them know that we're not perfect. Like, we don't want to, at least for me, like, I always thought my dad was like this perfect man, right? He was like perfect. He was complete. And like, then when I found out that he wasn't, when I was old enough to find out that he wasn't, it was kind of like, whoa, it was a shocker. So I think there is some importance, and it sounds like your dad was like this, where he's like, hey, I'm trying to do my best. I'm trying to instill some wisdom into you. I'm just trying to do better than my dad did, and I want you to do better than I did. Like, that's, I think, an important part of like letting your kids know that, hey, we're still trying to figure this out, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what was your parents' style, right? What was your dad's style, maybe? Mm-hmm. And then what things have you taken over to your own parenting style? Like, what have you kept and has worked for you? And then what things have you maybe thrown out and say, hey, I don't really like this, it's not my style, or I don't think it worked, I might do something a little bit different?
I don't feel like I've really figured this out yet. So
no.
We're still in it.
By the way,
still in it.
Spoiler alert, you probably never will.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, I just don't know what the right answer is. But as far as like what my parents did, I was disciplined with the belt.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember I remember getting grounded a little bit just from things. I mean, we moved around a lot. And so I have like different versions. We were living out in the middle of nowhere, and then we lived in a neighborhood, and so I would get grounded from like different things, based on where we were living at that point. But I got the belt a lot, and then my dad like yelled a lot, and I was always like, I'm never gonna yell. I'm not gonna be a yeller.
Yeah. How's that working out for you?
And then we had Isaac. Oh man! So unfortunately, there's moments where I lose it, and sometimes I'm like, I always tell Crystal, like, hey, I don't know, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose it. Can you help?
Tap in.
Yeah, can you tap in here? Like, I feel like in the last 2 years, maybe I've gotten a little bit better of like catching myself of like not totally losing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's amazing how slowly I learn things. It takes me like forever just to figure out like, okay, I need to like calm down or not do this or not do that. Like I'm not a quick study.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the things that you did pull over? Like the things as a dad, like Nathan asked, like what of your dad's parenting style where you're like, yeah, and you do apply now?
I think like
The work ethic.
I think working, right? Like that would be one of the things that, if Isaac is, or if either of my kids are giving me lip, or I'm like, dude, we gotta detox a little bit. Like, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna clean the pool. You're gonna take out the trash. You're gonna clean your room. You're gonna, I think, and then find those things. Now disciplining Isaac is fairly easy because I'm like, hey, you can't have a friend over.
There's other things in his life that you can take away.
Yeah, you can't play your PlayStation, right? It's pretty easy to now, and he responds pretty quick with those things because he's pretty social and wants to do things and loves playing Fortnite.
Yeah.
So does it change his behavior the next time, or does he still do the same thing? You just have to keep punishing him, or does
I do feel like it goes. I feel like it works for a while.
Yeah,
like,
it's a process.
Yeah, I think it buys me some time to the next time.
Yeah.
So overall, like pretty good experience with your dad. Like felt like dad instilled some good things in you as a parent.
Yeah, one of the things that recently I've been trying to do. I've been making this list, and it's part of a book that I was going through. But I'm trying to make a list of all the things I want to teach my son. And I know I want to teach both of my kids this.
And you got 2 kids.
Yeah, I have 2 kids. A daughter who is 15, and then my son is 12.
Yeah.
But recently I've been thinking about, and one of those is work
ethic.
Yeah, and how to work hard. And it recently brought me back to this time when I was in high school that I felt like whenever I went to a friend's house, whenever my dad was always like, yeah, you can stay the night, Friday night, whatever, but I need you back by like, I'll pick you up at 7:30 or something like crazy. Like, what?
Really early the next morning.
And I always used to be like, what the heck? And it was a battle all the time. And I felt this all the time. And it's funny because now that my son, I'm like, oh, he had a friend stay over. Was that last weekend or whatever, Friday night? I was like, hey, we're going to go split wood in the morning,
Yeah.
And we did that 2 weekends.
So did the friend go with you guys to split wood?
Yeah. Oh, it's way easier if he's got a friend.
Yeah.
So, but it was just like, I wonder, and I never asked my dad about that. I know part of it was because my parents own their own business and I had to help work.
They had to.
Yeah. And it was always, but there was moments I'm like, why can't I just do this at 12 o'clock?
Yeah.
And all my other friends were staying at this other friend's house till whatever, sleeping in, do whatever.
Yeah.
I have so many memories of me like getting up while everybody's still sleeping and having breakfast or whatever. Like, I gotta go. My dad's picking me up. Like, and they're like, what the heck? Like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, well, I gotta go strip some furniture or whatever. My parents like, or deliver, I had to help deliver and lift couches and turn thing. You know what I mean? At that point. Both my brothers were probably out of the house at that point. So, but I think it instilled some work ethic. I hated it. And and I don't expect my son to like splitting wood, but
it instills work ethic, and you looking back, you're like, hey, I'm glad that I had to do that. Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because you're like, at least now you have like work ethic, and you can like teach your kid, hey, this is important, because especially today, like work ethic is like it's a pain for me to get my kids to even mow the lawn.
Right.
Like they won't even mow the lawn. They want to negotiate with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What am I going to get from it?
What am I going to get? And then whatever I say, they want like double that.
It's never good enough.
But I remember growing up, like we didn't split wood because I lived in the suburbs, but I did have to do chores around the house, like the dishes and things like that. And I remember my mom, I hated it so much because I had a family of 7 people, and so we had no dishwasher. It was so many dishes every night. And I remember my mom saying, "Hey, one day your wife is going to thank me for this."
And she does, because you bought a dishwasher.
She does, because I am the dishwasher too, but like
It's in check.
Yeah.
What's fun and ironic about this episode is like in my current slice of life as a dad, you two are the 2 that I'm talking the most frequently with about parenting, aside from my brother-in-law who lives out of the area. And I'm learning from each of you. and gleaning both encouragement of like, okay, I'm not crazy, like we're in the same place, or like little tidbits like, oh, I love how he did that, or how, like for you, Joe, you guys are parenting. I know you're still in the thick of parenting, but you're a little ahead of both Nathan and I as far as ages of kids and engaging technologies and stuff. So I'm always like learning from you guys of like, okay, how do you guys do the phone thing? Are you doing the phone? How's that going? What? And so I'm learning from both of you guys. So that's what makes this kind of fun. But two big questions. And again, I know you're in the thick of it. Thus far as a parent, what would you say is like your greatest win? Something you've been doing or have done, or you and Crystal. I'm thinking more as a dad. Wanted to speak to dads. Like, what has been your greatest win so far? And it could have been something that just happened last week, or what is your greatest lesson that you've learned that you're hoping to correct, or you have had opportunity to correct thus far? Win and lesson.
I'll start with the win. I think the greatest win, and it's not just one instance.
Sure.
I think something that I do well, and it seems kind of weird that I'm saying that, like I'm really good at this, is I do feel like I'm very intentional about spending time and creating moments and memories with my son. And I say that not to like brag. I think that is fairly easy for us because he and I both really like the same things.
Right.
Golf.
Yeah.
We both like to golf and we both like to hunt.
Well, and you have two kids, two parents, a boy and a girl. You know,
Yes.
there are some maybe natural inclinations there.
I totally
or
get
easy
it.
scheduling.
It's easy. It's easy to split up and say, hey, today we're going to go do this, and not feel guilty about that. Because when I was young, like when Isaac was younger, I didn't hunt as much and I didn't golf as much because he wasn't. I feel guilty leaving or whatever. But now it's like when people hear about like me going to do this or that, like they may think, I've thought this, like, oh, they may think that I'm like, no, most of the time I'm doing that with my son. Even so much so that there's been a couple times just in the last couple of months, like, hey, I'm gonna go to the golf course, like, do you want to come or whatever? And he's like, well, who are you going with? He's like, no, Dad, like, why don't you go hang out with your friends, like, you've taken me, we went twice already this week or something like that, So I think he really does. I think he does see that we do a lot. Now there's days where he's like super upset and complaining and talks about how awful his life is. There are moments of that. We're like, bro, we just like we do stuff all the time.
Yeah.
But when he is in his right state of mind and calm and in a good place, he recognizes that I make an effort to, not just me, my wife and I both make an effort to have really cool memories and moments. So
What about still in this win category? How do you do that with your daughter? Like, what does that look like? And maybe in process, maybe still in process, trying to find that with the age that she's at and stuff. But
yeah, I guess I don't have that as much with her. Crystal and her kind of have that as well.
Sure.
And that is something I've tried to like cross over a little bit and try to create those things and those moments with my daughter. But it's definitely a little bit trickier because we don't naturally like necessarily the same things. Like she doesn't like to golf. She doesn't like to hunt. She'll come to the golf. She came to the course a few times with us this summer. And I don't know. Crystal and her have a really good relationship. And I say that 90% of the time they're either like best friends or worse enemies. And I got to step in and stop them from, throwing blows. But it's definitely something that I need to kind of work on. And we spend a lot of time driving back and forth practices and games. And we spend a lot of time in the car together, just, talking about life.
Yeah, I think that's important is the power of just being present as a dad, just being there, whether it's being with your son on the golf course or just being with your daughter and just being at her games. I know she plays a lot of sports. You're always at her games. You're driving around. So I would say, like, let's not be too quick to write off just the importance of just being around. Just being around.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is like, I know you to be a very intentional person in general, just even in our friendship and relationship. So would you say like maybe a win for you as a dad, parenting a daughter is being intentional even with those pockets of drives to practices or games, like you're trying to engage conversation with her and stuff?
Yeah, it was funny the other day. We were in the car and I was telling somebody, I think one of our friends was in the car. I was like, hey, did you know in 6th grade, because it was just me and Addie driving to school then. I was like, did you know in 6th grade, me and Addie used to hold hands on the way to school?
You told her friends that?
And Addie was like, well, no, it happened like once or twice or whatever. I was like, no, we used to do it a lot. Like, we used to hold hands a lot.
No, I think you're great with that. What about a lesson, Joe, this far? I mean, I know, again, you're in the thick of parenting, but what is something you've learned you feel like God's shown you? Or and most of the lessons we talk about are mistakes, right? We've made a mistake. It's felt like a failure, but we've been able to bounce back or correct or learn.
I've made a couple more than a few mistakes, but there's been a couple times. And I think even recently, and this is why I always tell Chris, I was like, what if we had another set of kids?
Yeah.
I feel like I could do it.
Do it better?
So much better. I've learned so much over the years. But I think when we're in the thick of it, 8, 9, 10 years old, Isaac's having tantrums and whatever, and I just would lose it, right? Just lose it and yell. And there was a couple times where he took off because I yelled at him so hard. And I just remember being so scared.
Just feeling, oh yeah.
Like this was at the last house, our old house, and he took off, in that backfield or whatever. And I couldn't find him for a little while. And I was like, oh man, that was not good.
Yeah.
Just let him have it, and just got super frustrated. And so that's happened a couple times. There's been 2 times where I think I just completely lost it. And I was like, dude, that does not work. And so I feel like in the last couple of years of just trying to work this out with Crystal, it was like, hey, there's not even a point to arguing. We're just going to here's the consequence. We're taking it away. There's no point in talking to him about it right now. Because usually he will calm down. Usually it's a couple hours. Sometimes it's the next day or whatever, and he'll come to his senses. And so it's like there's no point in going head to head in that moment when I'm elevated and he's elevated.
Yeah.
There's nothing. We're not going to gain anything out of that, because I've learned that a few years ago.
Yeah.
Off and on, I've done it, and it probably will happen again.
Yeah.
But I would say for the most part, I really am trying to be intentional about not going toe to toe with him in those heated moments. Hey, and I find myself telling Crystal, hey, we're not going to go toe to toe. I'm just going to go take it. Usually it's I'll take his video game,
sure,
I'll take his phone, whatever, and I put it in the safe. That's the one place, and then it's in the garage. I'm like, it's going in there. I'll let you know when it's going to be, when you're ready to come around. And so that's happened a few times. And I think that's, I've learned a lot from those moments, but those moments they stick out to me. I'm sure, hopefully they don't stick out to him,
right?
But I'm sure they probably will. Because I remember my dad losing on me a couple of times. Maybe not specifically, specific times, but I don't know.
The process of that, was that just whether it's the one time you described or a different time where you're just okay, I'm this is probably not a great choice of words, but I'm quitting cold turkey. I'm just done reacting that way. Or is there a process where you felt it kind of bubbling up within you and you're like, oh, not going there again? Yeah. How do you work through that?
Yeah, I think,
or do you, I don't know how.
It wasn't cut cold turkey.
Okay.
It's more about recognizing. I think that's just maturing as a dad, kind of recognizing where this is headed, and how I can choose to deal with it. You know, and how to teach him a lesson. Now, don't get me wrong. There's times where I gotta step in if he's being crazy, mean, disrespectful to his mom, which happens, and I gotta show him who's boss.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I love that. I think those are areas in which probably most dads are wanting to grow in, whether it was poorly modeled for them, or it doesn't even have to be modeled. The idea of reacting with such a temper, I think that some of that can just be human nature. We just tired of getting pushed around or whatever it is, and we just react, and it's not.
Yeah,
it's not right.
Yeah, and so we had a pretty big fight. It was a few weeks ago, and so I got Isaac. I got him a deer tag this year and was going to take him hunting. And, we just kind of had a couple of big blow-ups, and I just kind of told him, I was like, dude, I don't think you're ready for this year. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, we're not hunting this year.
Yeah.
And that was something he was looking forward to, and that was a big thing to kind of take away from him.
That's hard to do because that's really as much for you in a lot of ways than for him.
Totally.
You're I'm looking forward to going hunting with my son, and now you got to take it away. And that's something that I definitely struggle with, is punishing him when it is also punishing me.
Yeah. No, I think most parents don't do that or follow through on such punishments because of the cost to their own schedule or life or anything.
Well, and that's why, have you guys ever read that? I think it's Love and Logic book.
Yeah. halfway through it for I've read the first half
for many years.
Several times. I actually never read it, but back when I was working at a different school, I went to like a training or whatever, and one of the things I got out of it, I think it was the guy who wrote it, it was like his son that was doing the training. But one of the things he talked about was like setting up a practice for these instances, like going into a situation knowing that your kid's going to fail because you in your mind, you have set up the ability to like handle that situation because you went into that situation knowing that he's probably going to fail. So then you're not in the middle of something trying to be somewhere, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So like if you know you got to go to the grocery store and you got to get in and out, you got to get your stuff. Well, and you know your kids are going to be like, you know, potentially off the rails, but you're just going to like, hey, just, you know, cut it out, get it out, get in and out quickly. Well, rather than like, okay, I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to do these specific things because I know it's going to set them off, and then I'm going to react the way that I want to react because it's not in the heat of the moment. I don't have to be somewhere.
So kind of just expect the worst, maybe? Is that kind of what you're saying?
I think it's just like a practice.
Have a plan. Have a plan, have a way that you're always going to react, because I feel like the times when I get the most annoyed and I lose it is when I've got it in my mind that like I'm gonna do my thing and I'm having my time,
dude. Yeah.
Or for instance, like if I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and read a book.
Yeah.
This is my time.
Yeah.
And then I keep getting interrupted, or my kids are fighting, and then I got to intercede and got to referee. That's when I get crazy because I had no expectation that I was going to do that. I was like, this is my little zone.
Yeah.
This is my self time. Like you're interrupting me. So if you're going in thinking, hey, you know, expecting the worst, right?
Yeah.
And then having a plan how to react to it, then you're not really surprised and you're not put out. I think my thing is when I get put out, that's when I get the most annoyed.
Yeah.
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 When it's inconvenient.
Yeah, when it's inconvenient.
Low to no. That's what we try to practice in our house. Low expectation to no expectation. When I set the expectation of I'm going to have my 30 minutes to read or fix this or do that, it's usually, that expectation is usually blown up. Yeah. And then I do the same things you're describing. So I got to go in with no expectation. Like
I do feel like if someone was listening to this, they probably think my son's like pretty terrible the way I'm like speaking about him. But I am really proud of him, and I think he has a lot of good in him, and he makes a lot of good choices. But typically in public, people don't see, you know, that's like everybody else. Like a lot of times kids.
Yeah, most kids are angels in public.
Or at friends' houses.
Yeah. And the context of what we're talking about a highlight and the low light. Yeah. It's not like, you know, it's an extreme case. The interesting thing with you, Joe, and maybe we kind of get out on this one, or unless you got something else, Nathan, but your job, your context, you work as a counselor, like in education. And so you see a lot of the impacts, positive or negative, of dads in the lives of kids. And so kind of from your vantage point, what would be your encouragement to other dads having seen the effect of good dads and bad dads on the lives of other kids? So I didn't word that really well.
Well,
but,
I think the biggest takeaway is being present. I think it is very obvious to see when a dad is not present. I think, like you said earlier, like just being there is such a huge thing, even though you don't always know what to say or what to do. But being present is like literally more than half the battle, I think. I think is probably one of the big takeaways. But I do see a lot of different family dynamics and different situation. I mean, I've kind of seen it all, you know, but.
Any final takeaways, either Nathan, or a final piece of advice to dads, Joe?
Yeah, I think like the thing that I can't credit enough is having a community to bounce ideas off of and get feedback on parenting styles. Like we talk about being a parent, us not as much. And then I have a couple other friends that I really, really depend on, and just being in that community where you can get really good advice and kind of gauge and see where you're at. Like if you don't have anybody around you, it's hard to know like where you're at.
I think there are big picture stuff that we could ask generations older than us. you know. And then there are some things that are kind of culturally relevant. So it's like we didn't have cell phones when I was a kid. So I can't ask my parents like, hey, how did it go when you decided to give me a cell phone? You know, like I got to ask people that are in it now.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep, appreciate it.
Thanks for giving us the time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yesterday is over and the future has come.